In this video, I am going to be talking about some indigenous stuff and things that I've been noticing, observing, and when it comes to certain groups. So I don't know how long this video is going to be based off of my thoughts right now. I might just like rant and stuff like that. So if you are someone who's been watching my American Indian videos, Chwent to you, and Chwent means hello in Tuscarora. When it comes to everything indigenous, I gotta start off with the harvest gathering that everyone usually has in the fall. So with my tribe, the Skadore Wukan, we usually have our harvest gathering in the fall. And during the harvest gathering, we usually do things like have gift baskets and raffles and everything of that sort. And since everyone is planning out what they're going to do early, I'm starting to plan out my gift basket and what I'm going to put in this gift basket. And I'm thinking of course, everything when it comes to indigenous products. And the good thing about having a circle of people who are all into like indigenous and finding like their ancestors and going to powwows, um, I came across this lady who has been putting bear grease in her hair. And I heard of bear grease and how it's good for like a lot of things, like getting rid of eczema and all that other stuff. But back in the day, our ancestors used to put bear grease and like deer grease and any type of animal fat into their hair. Now, I know it's 2024 and there's too many products out here to be doing stuff like that, but I really want to try it out because this lady's hair is like freaking gorgeous. And of course, like when it comes to bear grease, like in hair products, they put other things into the bear grease so it won't have like a smell or anything. So I am I actually just bought some bear grease from Vermont and it's coming in the next few days. And I definitely have to buy some other stuff like vanilla oils and other essential oils and, you know, everything to put into this concoction that I'm going to whip up. So I'm going to try it out and I'm definitely going to make a video about it. So yeah, so that is my plan of what I'm going to put into this gift basket. That as I was thinking of the harvest gathering, I was like, since I'm going to be in the South, because my tribe is located in North Carolina, I might as well take a trip down to Georgia. And this is when my thoughts started expanding. So, for those who don't know, or for those who watched my previous videos, I've spoken about a great grandfather of mine who was a plantation owner, and his daughter, she was dating a Native American guy who is like my great grandfather. And she, fled. She moved to Georgia, not Georgia. She moved to Jersey, and later on, she was caught up in like a whole murder case because she was one of the people who murdered her own father. So I'm thinking about going down to that area where my great plantation owner grandfather was murdered at. And I don't know if I'm gonna do like a bunch of research down there because it's already much of a trip that I'm going to North Carolina. So to make a trip to Georgia and do some family research, I don't know, it might be too much, but I definitely want to go down there and get a feel of things and try to figure out what happened to like the natives in that area because I did came across a document that I have to like re-find in my archives. And from my understanding, how my great grandparents on that white side of the family, how they became plantation owners, they got the land through some like Georgia lottery. And I remember seeing something about the Cherokees being forced to leave. So I think that was a Cherokee like territory. And I don't think a lot of them left. I still have distant relatives that are living in that area. So I'm going to make a trip down there to like figure what happened to that side of the family because when it comes to my great grandfather who is like Native American, we know that he was Native American, but we don't know exactly like what tribe he was from. but I guarantee it might be Cherokee because of that location. So I'm definitely going to be expanding like my horizon when it comes to family researching and really stepping my game up, because I've been noticing some stuff when it comes to certain groups. And this is when I'm going to start to rant a little bit more, because I feel like when it comes to the indigenous community, I feel like we don't, I mean, there's people that help each other out, but at the same time, I see that we still have a long way to go, because there are some tribes out here who don't support one another. And it's weird because they would be like, they would have the same family members, but in separate tribes, and no one supports one another. It's pretty weird. So that's what I'm planning on doing, stepping my game up, because I want to help out as many people as possible, because from what I've been noticing in the indigenous community, and everybody, like, well, not everybody, but some people acting mad stink and don't want to share any information, and they want to act like they're more Indian than the next. I feel like that's super corny. So I definitely want to step up my game so I can help out other distant relatives of mine find their ancestors as well. And this one lady who I am related to, she's a good example. Ever since I've been like knocking on doors and like reaching out to more family members, there's this one lady in particular who's been helping me out. And she sent me so many documents the other day of our ancestors and what tribes they were a part of. And I see that GenMatch.com, I think that's what it's called. It's really, really good as far as family researching. So if you are doing your family research, GenMatch, I believe, is definitely the site, because she was able to show me my Cherokee ancestors. I didn't know that. Actually, I've, just like everybody else, I've been told that I have Cherokee in my family. But since everybody is getting told either Cherokee or like Blackfoot, I had a hard time believing that. But it turns out I really do have some Cherokee ancestors. And this lady was showing me like one of our ancestors who grew up on a reservation out in North Carolina. She was showing me like Pamunkey ancestors, I think Rappahannock. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Um, Powhatan, I think. There was so many, so many. And this lady, she only represents one side of my family tree. So there's like so many tribes that I'm connected to. And I want to gather as much information as possible so I can help out the next person. And, the reason why I feel it's so important, and it's strange how there are people who are acting mad stink and they don't want to give out no information. It's weird, especially like the history of how our tribe's been conquered and what America is today. You would think a lot of tribes would like get together and help each other out, but that's not the case. Um, but what led me to more of this expansion is what I've been noticing from other groups that are coming out here and how they support each other. And I can't be mad at that. I'm just pretty much annoyed of how my people be acting. And you would think that we would come together, but it's still a divide, which is strange. So when it comes to certain groups that I've been observing and notice how they all help each other out, and this is a example that I'm going to make. It's not a good example, but it's still an example. One of the groups of people that I've noticed, and how they help each other out, are the Italians. And where I grew up in Staten Island, a lot of them are in the mob, and it's not a good example, but like I said, it's still an example. So a lot of them are in the mob, and they really stick together. And just a little brief story on it, like when I was little, my grandfather was friends with a lot of people in the mob, and I didn't know, but I noticed, a few things. Like he used to work at a bar. Like the last few years of his life, he worked at a bar. And I know I was little at the time, and I know you're not supposed to be in a bar when you're little, but when my mother would visit her dad, she would bring us, and me and my siblings, and it was during the downtime hours. No one was really in there, so we'll just sit there, have our orange juice or whatever. But sometimes I would see like these men coming in and out, and sometimes I'll see like little meetings going on in this back room. And so even though I was little, I still knew something was like kind of like fishy. But the men, they were really nice. And at one point, since my grandfather was like such a loyal and honorable man or whatever of that sort, I learned years later that the mob wanted him to be a part of their like organization, but he kindly turned them down, but still remained friends with them. And I always thought that was strange because the Italians don't let no outsiders in. Now my grandfather, he was mainly like Native Indigenous American, but his grandfather was Italian, so I don't know. Maybe that had a little bit to do with it. But yeah, that's what I noticed growing up. And now they live in like these nice big old mansions and cars and all that. And, you know, they're nice, but they do stick together. And I used to see them all the time, especially when I was younger, and I would go trick or treating, and I would go into like their neighborhoods. And one of the houses that I used to trick or treat at was Paul Castellano. I think his name is Paul Castellano. He's one of the people that like John Gotti has shot. But I remember seeing mansions like his where I live and wondering like how did they like get all this money? And then I found out later on they're in the mob. But still, it's like it's so interesting how I see other groups that are from other places. They come out here and they thrive, whether it's coming up the honorable way or bullying their way to the top. Um, they stick together versus my people who are struggling. And another group that I've been noticing recently that's been coming out here are the Chinese. And they like to buy up blocks and just make their mark everywhere. And even though I'm kind of upset of how my people move, it's like I can't be mad at other groups that are coming out here and making their mark because any group would do that if they're running away from something. But those two groups are some of the groups that I've been observing, and you know, it's just strange how the indigenous community, for some reason, is like a divide. I don't get it. With that being said, I am definitely going to be doing more research and gathering more information and helping out whichever way I can, and definitely posting more on here on YouTube. And I hope that my information, every little bit that I can find, will help you out if you're someone that's doing family research as well, because we really do need to step up our game and move forward instead of being such a divide. Like, we're not going to get nowhere trying to act like who's more Indian than who. And, it's just, it's so freaking corny to me. I have nothing else to say.